Welcome, everybody, to Catholic Owned Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we have a wonderful guest with us, who I'm honored to introduce to you. Our guest is Gabe Kennedy. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'll kick us off just by your great bio. You do so many great things. Gabe Kennedy is a financial professional with nearly 2 decades of experience helping individuals, families, and business owners make informed financial decisions. As co founder and managing partner of Stewardship Financial Group, he specializes in retirement income planning, life insurance, wealth protection, and legacy planning. Beyond his work in financial services, Gabe is passionate about serving his community as a local exchange student coordinator, helping connect international students with host families, and creating meaningful cultural experiences. He enjoys helping people simplify complex decisions and build confidence in their financial future. So many good things that you're doing right now. So thank you so much for taking the time to be my guest today.
Absolutely.
So now you guys have been a longtime member of Catholic Owned, of course. But I would love for you to give a little, if you want to elaborate a little on your bio and about your business and how you help families, because I think you guys do it in a special way.
Okay. Yeah. So, we'll kind of start off in the beginning. So, I got into this business nearly 20 years ago. Time has flown by. And it was one of those things where I was a part of an organization that was Catholic. And 2007, 8, a rough time in the economy. I had lost my job that I was working at outside of doing planning needs and needed to figure it out. It was one of those things where I was challenged. I just bought a house. My wife was pregnant and I lost my job. So it was, hey, here are your challenges. Now go figure it out. So I got into the insurance and retirement world, really not knowing much about it, but with a willingness to serve. So hit the ground running, just went out there and just tried to help as many people as I could. Learned a lot in the process and was rewarded by my hard work and my efforts, and able to build the financial practice that I have today. And so now it's grown into managing and owning my own independent agency, co-owning it with my fellow managing partner, Young Tran. And we just try to do our absolute best in helping people and making sure that we're doing the right thing for their families and their businesses.
Well, and I always like to just point out and, express that I think it's so special and unique to be able to go out on your own as a financial advisor, financial planner. That's something we really honor and appreciate at Catholic Owned, that independent financial professionals helping individuals and families with their financial planning from a Catholic perspective. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Is such a obviously it's a lot harder, I think, but it is so important, and so we just think that's so valuable.
Absolutely. And part of that too was the choice to go independent was, we wanted to put our Catholic values first and foremost into our daily lives, right? And so it was one of the things that we said, okay, we can keep our identity of who we are as Catholic gentlemen and still continue to serve this population and help others who also need the help. We don't just have only Catholic clients. We have people from all walks of life who are looking for help. And this is an added benefit, I think, whenever I tell people when we first meet that we are faith-based, that is Catholic and Christian values into our daily work and how we will approach things. A lot of people find that very comforting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, and you guys, again, longtime members, but other members too. We hear stories of customers that come to them that, they can really just have a good relationship and trust who they're working with because you are really walking the walk on the faith side. And even one story I love to tell, we have a a member who she is a counselor. She does counseling, and she had a customer come to her that the customer is an atheist according to her, and her husband had been unfaithful, and she went to this member because she said, I knew you wouldn't recommend a divorce.
Hmm. What a great testimony.
I find that to be so powerful because it's like, if we are good Catholic business owners, at a minimum, people know what they're going to get when they're ready to get that. And on the other hand, too, it's such a operating a Catholic business and serving the public is such a beautiful evangelization opportunity. You
Hmm.
know, how often is it that, you maybe are one of the few Catholics someone has a long term working relationship with? And so you have such an opportunity there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That commonality is very important for people, I think, for again, not just their own beliefs, but for their daily lives. But you're right. It does provide, I think, a certain level of comfort. Not all the time, but it's one of the things where I think people are happy to know that from the start, there's that shared value.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and one of the topics that I myself don't know a ton about, and I've seen you post about, so I know that you are very well informed on it, and I would love to dive into it. The topic of annuities.
Hmm.
And I just want to kick it off by sharing. We used to live in South Florida, and there was a gentleman that went to the Latin Mass. There's a beautiful Latin Mass community in Miami,
Hmm.
and, over the years, it's kind of been moved around to different places. And now it's an official FSSP apostolate,
Hmm.
or chaplaincy. It's the chaplaincy of the Holy Face. But anyway, there was this gentleman, older gentleman, retired, and he would go around and tell all of the couples, you have got to look at annuities. Like, he's like, I am so sad. And this was during the pandemic, right? So I think this was like his, he was trying to be helpful. But he said, yeah, I have a fixed income and like all my bills are paid and I don't have a care in the world. And it's all because of annuities. So that was my first exposure. And then I saw you posting about annuities, and I thought it was a great opportunity to share with our audience. So, what are annuities? And what purpose do they serve?
Well, the basic understanding I think that people should understand regarding annuities that it's simply a retirement plan, right? So, but that goes into a big breakdown of what does that actually mean, and so that's where I think a lot of confusion can come from this. A lot of people probably already have an annuity type system and don't realize it in the form of Social Security, right? That is a annuity structure meant for retirement income, and they may or may not have one through their workplace. And maybe they don't understand how this works, and so that's where we come in, and we help people with this understanding. What does it mean for them? How does it work? What role does it play? And then also understanding the shifts of under their working years to our retirement years. What do we need to know? So I think that's going to be really the easiest explanation of how an annuity, what is an annuity?
Okay, awesome. So it's one sort of tool in the tool belt of putting this bigger financial picture together. Um, so maybe some people have seen, uh, like I saw one post on Instagram, which kind of prompted me to ask you because obviously I trust you and um, that was kind of saying like annuities are not really a good idea. Um, Could you help us understand why or the thought process behind someone saying, stay away from those or is not really a good tool?
Yeah. It goes into, I think, a lot of opinion, right? So people have an opinion about it, which is okay. And maybe they got into something that wasn't structured correctly, wasn't meant for them. There's a lot of variables here, of why somebody would say that. And so whenever I hear that, I love to ask the question of, why do you say that? What makes you think this, right? Where did you learn it? There's a lot of different advice out there, and people can follow what they want. My job is to come in, and really it's to help them understand that retirement planning is not just about accumulating assets. It's also about converting those assets into a dependable income that can support your essential expenses for life, while allowing other assets to pursue growth, discretionary spending, and legacy goals.
And I think that's so important. And what really caught my attention when we originally visited about annuities, and again, it echoed from the gentleman's experience. I think that especially today, the idea of having your basic living expenses covered in like a secure way, especially as we're getting older, I think that's particularly attractive. I know for myself that's pretty attractive as a business owner. you
Yes.
know, security, income security is a hugely attractive concept that I guess I didn't really ever know was available as a retirement product.
Right, right. I mean, so first of all, retirement changes the financial question, right?
Mhm.
So during the working years, there's a focus on of how much can I accumulate, right? You're working, you're putting away, you're faithfully saving, but then in retirement, the question becomes is how much dependable income can those assets produce, right? How long will it last? A large balance does not automatically create a retirement income plan. People need to understand that it's not just about reaching a number, it's about turning what you've accumulated into income that you can actually live on.
Yeah. Well, I think, and part of that too, right, is having fixed expenses. Like that's all part of it, right? So knowing what you do need. Um, but it really, yeah, it's just such a foreign concept, I think, for a lot of people that, there are these tools available that you can have the income secured. And then I also love that. Could you elaborate a little bit on once you're through a tool similar to annuities or other that is a good fit for their situation? Because we know every situation is unique. Um, but once that tool is in place to cover the day to day expenses, then there's more opportunity. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So, really it's looking at using a source of funds for your essential expenses, your housing, your food, your utilities, healthcare, insurance, transportation, taxes, stuff like that. And then once you have that covered, now it's starting to look at supporting your discretionary goals. So your travel, your hobbies, dining, gifts, charitable giving, lifestyle upgrades. And that's what it's about, right? Is understanding how can we get this balance, but knowing that every month our bills are paid, and essentially we have a guarantee from an insurance company that will never go broke. And I think that's very powerful way to approach retirement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to just have this conversation about this because like I said, I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. I think a lot of people have the idea, right? Like you said, you save, you invest, and you're trying to hit like that number, um, which is also somewhat abstract because it's like stuff is going to go up, right? So
Right.
it you can plan, but it's also not like perfect. And I know for
Right.
myself, it kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety. Like, okay, well, what should the number really be? especially after all the inflation recently, things like that. So I really love that idea of, a certain level of security. Because the other thing that comes to mind is when your needs are met, not only, are you more secure, but I love that it also, anything above and beyond that can be used, like you said, for discretionary, but also for giving, for
Hmm.
making a difference for other people. Um,
Right.
do you have any examples, maybe from past clients, that they have been able to do more giving because they're using this tool?
Oh, absolutely. When you have a good plan that's balanced in approach and you get out there, there's ways where you can say, okay, I know that I'm okay. Stewardship within my community is important. So now some of the other discretionary funds, it is the question I love to ask all clients when we have this retirement conversation is, how do you plan on spending this? And it's such a hard question for people, which you wouldn't think that it is, but when they're put on the spot and they're there, all of a sudden it's, I don't know. So I say, look, you got to spend it, right? And I joke around about it. And this is things that we've heard all throughout. If you've been around for a while, is don't die with a penny left in your retirement account. Give it all away and spend it. And if you're going to leave something, leave it in life insurance, which helps people. And that's been one of the things that we've been able to do. So with this money that they don't need for their immediate needs, we've been able to structure this into life insurance contracts to give to their church. So they can now get some tax benefits to this depending on their situation. And they're able to maximize their giving to their community, to their children, to things that are important to them.
Mm. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about the tax implications. It's obviously complex, but it's really amazing what a good plan can do. And I think that each one of us having a good plan, whether we're business owners or, a Catholic that works a job and has a retirement, wherever we are, um, I think the legacy piece is such an important part of building the new Catholic economy,
Hmm.
right?
Very
Um,
much.
and I know, and we hear about it often, that there's coming up like a very large shift in wealth, right? Like a passing down from like our parents. And is it a lot of that is from life insurance? Is that correct?
It's a mixture of both. So, it could be a life insurance contract that is paid out to the beneficiaries. Or it could be a retirement account that is been passed down. And then that has its own tax issues that people have to pay attention to, which may not be efficient. And I've been in that situation plenty of times where, somebody receives a bunch of taxable money, but they're also at the height of their earning career, and all of a sudden their income tax rate goes up, right? So, and that's a conversation that I find on a planning perspective that a lot of parents are not having with their adult children. It is, hey, I want to leave you something, which is always of good intention. Then when they get it, and then the tax portion of this comes into play, now it's a huge issue. So again, it's goes into holistic planning, but again, it's how do we structure the tools that we have, right,
Mhm.
and building this up. And so if we're able to say, okay, look, my, again, right, what we talked about earlier is that my essential expenses are covered, going then to somebody and saying, hey, here's this amount of money, you spend it on your cause or put it towards my grandchildren's college, future needs or whatever it may be, makes it a lot easier to approach because now we have a predictable and at times guaranteed plan in place.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it really, the sense I'm getting is that it really sets us up to be able to be the best steward of whatever inheritance we're receiving, or no inheritance, just the fruits of our labor and the blessings God has given us. And that stewardship is so, so important if we want to keep our parishes going, if we want
Yes.
to, have our businesses be sustainable, have our children either take them over or maybe buy a different business, start their own business. All of these things that are so important for the economy and the Catholic economy, we need resources for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, I think the really solid financial planning is such an important thing for every Catholic family to look at, um, to just make the most with what we are given.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is great, and um, thank you so much. I know that you do a lot of other great things as well. I would love to, because I think this is really interesting. Would you share a little about the exchange student work that you do? Because
Yeah.
I think it's so special, and I want more Catholic families to know about it.
Sure, absolutely. So, initially, it was one of those things where we had our guest bedroom in our home, right? For guests that needed to stay over, place to be. No guests ever seemed to use that room. So, one day my wife approached me and she said, "Well, what if we just get an exchange student?" Never even crossed my mind. So I said, "Okay, sure, why not?" So we started looking at things and understanding it, different programs, a lot of different agencies out there. And so we were able to identify an agency that worked well for us and their approach to this program. We had a local coordinator come over to us, help us out, help us with the program, walk us through everything, and then we selected a young lady from Spain that came over as a high school sophomore. Got to get to know her, be a part of her life, and help her with understanding American culture, helping her with learning English better, and it was also a learning experience for us, and I think that was the trade-off that was the most for it. Anybody that knows me understands that I travel a lot. It is one of the passions I have for myself and for my family. I've been to 42 different countries now, as a for myself and my children under the age of 18 have been over to 30 different countries themselves. And that was part of my legacy personally that I wanted. So, what I loved about the exchange program and why I keep getting attracted to it and staying in it is that I was able to bring culture to me. And that was awesome. So, I'm able to learn things. I've been to Spain quite a bit and I thought I knew quite a bit about it until you start really speaking in depth to a local and realize you didn't know as much as you thought, or the different cultural areas of the region and stuff like that. She spoke Catalan, which I knew nothing about, which is not Castilian Spanish. It is an entirely different language. So we got to learn stuff like that. And so this year, I decided to be a coordinator, local coordinator for the agency that we were with. And that allows me to work with other families really across the United States, but mainly within the San Antonio, Austin metro area where I live, and help place students with families so they can have the same experience.
Well, and what I love about this is, you know, obviously I'm a mother. I've also lived abroad. I lived in Italy for 4 years, with Matteo, after we were married. And so I know, like, when my mom, for my own parents, sending I was an adult, but sending their child to a foreign country, knowing the family is good, I think is so, so important. And that's why I love that you are a good Catholic family, and obviously working with other Catholic families. I think it's such a gift to these exchange students. They're coming to good Catholic families. Like, well, who better could you
Hmm.
ask for to be sending your child to the United States, which is such a big country.
Right.
It's enormous. Um, and so I just love that, you've kind of taken up this sort of mission to help, help these students have these great experiences with these good families.
Yeah, we're now on our fourth. So,
Oh,
uh,
just
from
amazing.
personally in our home. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what a great experience for Catholic families to consider.
Hmm.
I think of especially and in Italy, for example, which is my main point of reference, the families are smaller,
Hmm.
1 to 2 children max. And, that's kind of how it is now. But a big Catholic family for an exchange student to come in and have, multiple exchange siblings for the first time. I think there's such a richness and a beauty there for them to experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really a learning experience for
So,
everybody.
well, good. Well, Gabe, thank you so much for being my guest. I think you're a little frozen. Let me know if you
Oh,
can hear me.
I can hear you.
But this was such a wonderful conversation. For our audience, oh, you're back. Can you hear me,
Yeah,
Gabe?
I heard every word.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. This was a wonderful conversation. And thank you so much to our audience for joining us. I want to make sure we shout out your website, which I know was just updated.
Yes.
Could you just say the website for us? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's stewardshipfinancial.co.
Stewardshipfinancial.co. Okay, perfect. And of course, you can find Gabe and Young on Catholic Owned. Reach out. I know you guys do consultations and you'll kind of walk with people. So definitely reach out to Gabe if you have financial questions and are looking for a good plan. But thank you to our audience for joining us. This has been Catholic Owned Live, the show where we talk honestly about faith, work, vocation, and what it really takes to build the new Catholic economy. I'm your host, Brooke Joyner. And again, thank you to Gabe Kennedy for being my guest. And I will see you all next week with another fantastic guest. Until then, God bless you.